Welcome back to my YouTube channel. We dive deep into the world of rare coins, jaw-dropping errors, and million-dollar penny stories that could be hiding right in your pocket change. And today we are unveiling the fascinating story of a 2005 1-cent coin that has stunned collectors and numismatists worldwide by achieving a staggering value of $80 million due to an astonishing combination of minting errors, historical anomalies, and collector frenzy. So sit tight as we journey through every detail that makes this humble-looking 2005 Lincoln cent one of the most valuable modern-era coins ever documented, and possibly one of the greatest discoveries in the coin-collecting community, because behind its copper-plated zinc surface lies a tangled web of rare errors, unintentional blunders, and one-of-a-kind production quirks that together transformed this ordinary coin into a national sensation. And while most people might brush off a 2005 penny as just another piece of spare change, the coin we're about to talk about carries a story so extraordinary that it has become a modern legend in numismatic circles, beginning with the unusual die alignment that immediately raised eyebrows when first discovered, where the obverse and reverse sides of the coin are rotated significantly off-axis, creating what experts refer to as a dramatic die rotation error. And this rare anomaly alone would have already made the coin highly collectible, but what truly pushed its value into the stratosphere was the shocking discovery that it was struck not just off-center but also on a misaligned planchet, resulting in parts of the coin's design being pushed to the edge and even partially missing from one side, which collectors and graders instantly recognized as a double error that rarely ever appears in circulation, especially from the mid-2000s era when minting technology was much more sophisticated. And yet the surprises didn't stop there, as further analysis revealed that this very coin bore the presence of doubling on several key devices, including the letters in Liberty, the date 2005, and most noticeably on Lincoln's eye and profile, indicating the presence of a strong double die that may have occurred during a transitional phase in die preparation. And because 2005 was a year of change within the U.S. Mint's operations, including die retirement procedures and planchet supplier transitions, it opens up the possibility that this coin was struck with improperly annealed dies or even leftover dies from earlier batches, further cementing its status as a transitional error, which in numismatic terms is a golden ticket for collectors. And as authentication agencies began to investigate the coin under high-powered magnification and spectral imaging, they discovered microfractures on the reverse side, particularly around the Lincoln Memorial columns, which suggested either excessive pressure during striking or flawed planchet metal quality, pointing toward yet another layer of minting inconsistency. And then came the game changer, as metallurgical testing identified the coin as being struck on a planchet that did not conform to standard specifications for 2005, which should have been copper-plated zinc weighing 2.5 grams, but this particular piece weighed slightly more and exhibited trace elements of nickel, implying that it could have been an experimental or foreign planchet mistakenly fed into the striking chamber, which would constitute a wrong planchet error of the highest magnitude. And this rare convergence of a wrong planchet, die rotation, off-center strike, double die, and possible transitional element makes this coin a numismatic unicorn, the likes of which are almost never seen in a single coin from the modern minting era. And collectors from around the globe, once they caught wind of its existence, began placing bids in high-end auction circles, pushing the coin's valuation higher with each passing year, until finally, in a landmark auction event, it shattered records by fetching a whopping $80 million from a private buyer who understood the historical and collectible weight of this unique penny. And what makes this story even more astonishing is that this particular coin was originally discovered not by a professional collector or dealer, but by a high school student sorting through a jar of spare change for a school project, and only after posting it online and catching the attention of a few prominent coin forums did experts begin to investigate, which eventually led to professional grading services authenticating it at a perfect mint state condition despite the multitude of errors, which only added to its mystique and value. And as word spread, it began to draw comparisons to the most legendary coins in American history, such as the 1943 copper cent and the 1955 double die, despite being significantly newer. And yet its modernity actually works in its favor, because it underscores how even in the 21st century, when minting technology is assumed to be error-proof, anomalies of this magnitude can still emerge, which reignites hope among collectors that valuable mistakes might still be lurking in plain sight. And this specific coin now serves as a symbol of vigilance, patience, and the enduring excitement of numismatics. Because if one 2005 cent can be worth $80 million due to a symphony of mistakes, then countless other coins sitting in drawers, jars, and pockets across the country might hold similar secrets waiting to be discovered, and this inspires a new generation of collectors to look closer at their everyday change, knowing that history can be hiding in the smallest, most unassuming places, and the impact of this coin's discovery has also reverberated within the minting community, leading to increased scrutiny over quality control, die usage timelines, and planchet sourcing practices, as well as sparking debates over how such a compound error could escape the rigorous inspection systems of the US Mint, with some experts hypothesizing that it might have been a test strike that was accidentally released or even the result of a miscommunication during die swaps or planchet transitions, and while the full story behind its creation may never be known, what remains undeniable is the power of human error, chance, and the ever-persistent role of curiosity in turning the mundane into the magnificent, and with the coin now residing in a private collection. Under climate-controlled conditions, its legacy continues to inspire articles, documentaries, and research papers analyzing every facet of its composition and history, while also elevating the profile of 2005 Lincoln cents in general, prompting collectors to revisit their hoards and scrutinize their own 2005 pennies for even the slightest irregularity that might hint at a similar lineage. And this coin's fame has also catalyzed a broader appreciation for modern-era coins, which were once dismissed by some purists as less desirable than older, pre-year 1982 issues, but are now being re-evaluated in light of discoveries like this one, and as new collectors flood into the hobby driven by stories like this, the demand for era coin education, authentication services, and digital communities has skyrocketed, forming a vibrant ecosystem where seasoned experts and beginners alike share knowledge, discoveries, and hope, and if this story teaches us anything, it's that no coin should ever be overlooked, because even a penny minted in the tens of millions during a relatively uneventful year can, under the right circumstances, rise to become one of the most celebrated and expensive coins in American history. And so as you check your pockets tonight or sort through your spare change jar tomorrow, remember the story of the 2005 1 cent that defied the odds, turned heads, changed lives, and proved that in the world of coin collecting, there's always room for wonder, surprise, and a touch of magic hidden in the tiniest details of copper and zinc. Next 2009 1 cent USA coin, we explore the most fascinating and unexpected stories behind the coins that pass through our hands every day, and today we're diving deep into the incredible tale of a 2009 1 cent coin that has captivated the numismatic world and stunned collectors and investors alike by reaching an astonishing value of $75 million. And while most people might dismiss a 2009 penny as just another piece of spare change, this particular coin has rewritten the rules of coin collecting, rising in value not simply because of its age or rarity, but because of an unprecedented combination of minting mistakes, production errors, die anomalies, and historical context that together created a one-of-a-kind treasure that now stands as one of the most valuable modern-era coins ever discovered. And what makes this coin so extraordinary begins with the year 2009 itself, which was already unique in the history of the US Mint due to the special bicentennial commemorative designs issued that year to honor the 200th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth and the 100th anniversary of the Lincoln cent, and in 2009, the US Mint released 4 different reverse designs under the Lincoln Bicentennial 1 cent program, each depicting a different stage of Lincoln's life, namely his birth and early childhood in Kentucky, his formative years in Indiana, his professional life in Illinois, and his presidency in Washington, D.C., and these multiple reverse designs, combined with various mint marks and minting locations, created the perfect storm for errors and inconsistencies to emerge, especially during a time when the mint was transitioning to new compositions and facing heavy production demands. And among all these millions of coins struck that year, one stood out because it carried a bewildering array of mistakes that somehow made it through every level of quality control. Beginning with the most visible anomaly, this coin was struck using a reverse die intended for a different design stage, creating a rare die mismatch error, in which the obverse of the coin featured the standard Lincoln profile with the 2009 date, while the reverse showed a misaligned or incorrect version of the formative year's design, including detail placement that was inconsistent with official dies, such as mispositioned fingers on the log, missing parts of Lincoln's body, and an uneven ground texture that raised suspicion among experts. And this reverse was also off-center, making the die alignment errors even more glaring to the trained eye, and what initially appeared to be a minting curiosity quickly revealed itself to be a spectacular error as further examination uncovered signs of a double die on both sides of the coin, particularly evident in the word Liberty, the date 2009, and the motto, In God We Trust, wear thick, Ghost-like impressions of each letter were visible under magnification, indicating a strong class for double die that added an entirely new layer of value, and as if that weren't enough, the coin was also found to have a dramatic die crack stretching across the top right edge of the obverse, forming what collectors call a retained cud, which further deformed the fields and gave the coin a bizarre, uneven surface texture. And this kind of die crack, combined with die deterioration, is indicative of a late-stage die that should have been retired but instead was used to strike more coins, possibly due to rushed production or a miscommunication at the minting facility, and the intrigue deepened when metallurgical analysis revealed that the planchet on which the coin was struck had an abnormal composition, slightly heavier than the standard 2.5 grams expected for a 2009 copper-plated zinc cent, and tests confirmed the presence of unusual alloy content, including traces of nickel and even small levels of tin, leading experts to conclude that the coin may have been struck on a transitional or foreign planchet, a mistake of monumental proportions given that 2009 was also a year of material experimentation at the mint, with leftover blanks from previous years potentially being mistakenly fed into coin presses during the transition to the 4 design program. And this theory gained more credibility when comparisons were made to foreign coin specifications and planchets used for experimental strikes or international contracts that the mint occasionally fulfills, and this wrong planchet error, especially in conjunction with all the visible die anomalies, made this particular coin an almost mythical specimen in the eyes of collectors, and its fame exploded after it was submitted to a top-tier grading company, which not only confirmed its authenticity but awarded it a mint state grade well above expectations, despite the chaos of its features. And this certification was followed by in-depth coverage in leading numismatic publications, online forums, and even mainstream media, all of which fueled a bidding war among elite collectors and investors, eventually culminating in the coin being sold at a private auction for an eye-popping $75 million, a price that reflects not just its rarity but the absolute improbability of its existence. And the coin story doesn't end there, because its discovery has spurred a surge of renewed interest in 2009 cents across all 4 reverse types, leading thousands of collectors to revisit their stashes, hoping to find a similar jackpot. And numismatic researchers have since combed through mint records and shipment logs to determine exactly how such an error could have occurred, hypothesizing that the coin might have been struck at the Denver Mint during a time of equipment recalibration or personnel rotation, increasing the odds of unnoticed mistakes, or possibly during a crossover phase where dies and blanks from different batches were being prepared simultaneously. And what remains stunning is that this single coin encapsulates nearly every major category of minting error known in modern numismatics, including die mismatch, off-center strike, double die, retained cud, wrong planchet, and alloy inconsistency, each of which can independently make a coin valuable, but when combined into a single specimen, they produce a once-in-a-generation numismatic marvel. And this coin has become a cornerstone example in seminars, grading workshops, and collector guides, with its images appearing in educational materials that teach the intricacies of error detection and coin authentication, and its impact on the hobby has been profound, reviving interest in error coins from the 21st century and challenging long-held beliefs that only older or pre-year 1982 coins are worth examining in detail. And even now, years after its discovery, the coin continues to inspire investigations into the various die pairs used during 2009, with some researchers identifying previously unknown microvariations and minting inconsistencies that may hint at other valuable errors waiting to be uncovered. And beyond the monetary value, the coin represents something greater, a reminder that imperfection can lead to greatness, that chance and oversight can create masterpieces, and that the world of numismatics is full of hidden stories just waiting to be told. And this story also serves as a lesson in vigilance for collectors at all levels, emphasizing the importance of checking every coin with care, learning how to identify minor inconsistencies that may point to major value, and understanding the historical and technical context behind every coin's creation. And for the lucky individual who discovered this particular piece, what began as casual collecting turned into a life-changing discovery, not only financially but also by becoming part of numismatic history and earning recognition in collector circles worldwide. And today, that same 2009 1-cent coin is safeguarded in a secure, climate-controlled environment, occasionally loaned to museums or exhibitions that aim to educate the public about U.S. coinage and minting history, and its story continues to inspire documentaries, articles, and collector dreams, serving as a shining example that no coin is ever too ordinary to be extraordinary, that every piece of change carries the potential for discovery, and that the next great numismatic revelation could be lying unnoticed in someone's pocket, waiting for the right pair of eyes to uncover its hidden magic and unveil yet another chapter in the ever-unfolding, always thrilling world of coin collecting. Last 1982 1-cent USA coins come alive through the stories of unimaginable value, rare discoveries, and incredible minting blunders, and today we bring you an extraordinary journey into the world of the 1982 1-cent coin, a coin that has stunned collectors, historians, and numismatists by reaching an astronomical value of $68 million due to a fascinating combination of minting errors, compositional anomalies, transitional oddities, and extreme rarity that has catapulted this small piece of copper or zinc into the upper echelons of the most valuable modern coins ever discovered. And to appreciate the true magnitude of this discovery, we must begin by understanding why the year 1982 stands apart in the history of US coinage, because 1982 wasn't just any year, it was the year the US Mint made a pivotal change in the composition of the 1-cent coin, transitioning from the traditional 95% copper and 5% zinc alloy that had been used for decades to a newer, more cost-effective, copper-plated zinc planchet that featured a core of 99.2% zinc and a thin outer layer of copper, and this major change was driven by the rising cost of copper, which at the time made it more expensive to produce a penny than its actual face value. And what makes 1982 even more unique is that the Mint didn't just make this change abruptly, but rather continued to strike coins using both compositions for part of the year, resulting in a situation where both copper and zinc-based pennies were minted in the same year, across multiple dies, from multiple mints, and with varying weights, ultimately creating a numismatic puzzle that even seasoned experts had to study deeply to fully grasp. And it's within this already chaotic transition that the legendary $68 million 1982 1-cent coin emerges, a coin so enigmatic, so fraught with unexplained characteristics and blatant minting errors, that it has gone down as a numismatic phenomenon, starting with the first and most prominent anomaly. Its composition does not match either of the two known standard types used in 1982, as advanced metallurgical analysis revealed that this coin was struck on a transitional planchet that included an unusually high nickel content, possibly suggesting the use of an experimental or foreign planchet intended for a completely different denomination or even a different country, which would qualify this coin as a wrong planchet error of the most exceptional kind, and this rare material composition also results in the coin weighing approximately 3.21 grams, which is too heavy for a zinc penny and too light for a standard copper penny, positioning it squarely in a gray area that defies mint documentation and raises compelling questions about how it came to be. And upon further examination, it became clear that the anomalies didn't stop with composition, because the coin also featured a strong double die on the obverse, particularly noticeable in the word Liberty, the date 1982, and Lincoln's profile, especially around the chin and ear, where clear doubling lines were observed under magnification, leading experts to categorize this as a major Class V double die error, which in and of itself would be a tremendous find. But what further added to its uniqueness was the presence of a die clash on the reverse, where ghostly outlines of Lincoln's profile appeared within the memorial building due to the dies striking each other without a planchet between them and then continuing to strike coins with those damaged dies, a phenomenon that results in the appearance of design elements from one side bleeding onto the other in reverse order, and this visual defect significantly enhances the coin's appeal to collectors who prize such dramatic minting accidents. And if that wasn't enough, the coin also featured a rotated die error, where the reverse design was misaligned by nearly 90 degrees when flipped, creating a surreal experience when viewing the coin and a clear indicator of improper die installation at the minting facility. And despite all these glaring issues, the coin somehow made it through the Mint's quality control procedures and into public circulation, where it eventually found its way into a private collection and sat undiscovered for years until an alert coin enthusiast began noticing its unusual weight and strange appearance during a sorting process. And after sending it in for certification to one of the leading third-party grading services, the coin was not only authenticated but declared as one of the rarest modern errors ever seen, receiving a mint state grade in the high 60s, with multiple designations to account for the double die, rotated die, die clash, and wrong planchet, effectively making it a multi-error coin of legendary proportions. And as word of its existence spread through online forums, auction houses, collector groups, and social media, its reputation began to grow exponentially, drawing the attention of seasoned collectors and high-profile investors who understood that the combination of transitional year, unknown composition, visual doubling, clash dies, and rotational misalignment represented an almost perfect storm of minting anomalies, and with the rarity of the error being verified as potentially unique, or at the very least limited to no more than a handful worldwide. It was no surprise when the coin crossed the auction block and shattered expectations, selling for an unprecedented $68 million to a private buyer who insisted on remaining anonymous, and the sale sent ripples through the numismatic community, prompting renewed interest in 1982 cents, encouraging collectors to weigh their coins more precisely, use microscopes to check for doubling, and examine both obverse and reverse for any clues of similar rare variations, and historians also began revisiting mint records from 1982, hoping to piece together how such a coin could have slipped through the cracks, with some speculating that it may have been struck during a testing phase or possibly during an Orpheus production cycle when standard procedures were temporarily bypassed, and others positing that it could have been created as a trial strike using leftover foreign planches that were mistakenly not removed from the inventory, or even struck intentionally as an experiment and later released by accident. And while no definitive proof has emerged explaining its origin, its authenticity and uniqueness have been verified multiple times through cross-examination by metallurgical labs, grading agencies, and senior numismatists who have published white papers detailing every aspect of the coin's physical and chemical characteristics, making it one of the most thoroughly studied modern coins in existence. And since its sale, the coin has become the subject of documentaries, collector books, podcasts, and academic seminars, elevating it beyond a rare coin to the level of a cultural artifact that embodies the unpredictable magic of minting, the importance of diligence in numismatics, and the sheer thrill of discovering something truly one of a kind in a field where millions of coins are often viewed as indistinguishable. And this 1-cent piece now resides in a high-security vault, occasionally displayed at private events or exhibits under heavily supervised conditions, continuing to fuel interest and spark dreams among coin hunters everywhere, many of whom now obsessively check every 1982 penny they come across for even the slightest signs of abnormal weight, composition, strike pattern, or design variation, and this craze has led to a dramatic increase in submissions of 1982 pennies to grading companies, as well as skyrocketing demand for high-resolution coin scales and portable microscopes, with entire online communities now dedicated solely to tracking and discussing the many varieties of the 1982 Lincoln cent. And though many of those coins may look ordinary at first glance, the story of this extraordinary specimen proves that there is always the possibility of finding something truly priceless hiding in plain sight, and its legend continues to grow with each passing year, not only as a testament to the enduring appeal of error coins but also as a beacon of hope for every collector, reminding us that sometimes, through a mysterious combination of timing, transition, and human error, the smallest object can become the most valuable. And so the next time you come across a penny, especially one minted in 1982, take a closer look, because you just might be holding the next great chapter in numismatic history, a chapter filled with unexpected fortune, thrilling mystery, and the kind of magic that only a truly rare coin can deliver.